Our speaker, Lee Simon, served in the Korean War in 1950, but not in combat. He did a lot of draft counseling during the Vietnam War. He has been a pacifist throughout his life and is opposed to a military draft in any form. He hopes he is not alone in this.
Good morning. My goal today is to reinforce our commitment to peace. In war, mankind's primitive instincts take over where morals used to be. As was said, what if they gave a war and nobody came? Look at Trump's war, which he still refuses to call a war. In my mind, if you bomb innocents, that is war in all its dastardliness. To paraphrase, war by any other name is still a war. In reality, the only rule of war is to win. We are a warlike nation. When we don't like something, we declare war on it. The war on poverty, the war on drugs, the war on crime, the war on cancer, and so on. My first thought of my three thoughts on war are some famous quotes that reflect on Trump's war and all past and future wars. Nothing will end war unless the people themselves refuse to go to war. Albert Einstein. I hate war as only a soldier who has lived it can, only as one who has seen its brutality, its futility, its stupidity. There is no glory in battle worth the blood it costs. General Eisenhower. War is hell. William Tecumseh Sherman. There is no flag large enough to cover the shame of killing innocent people, said Howard Zinn. Also from him, they don't put statues of anti-war dissidents in the public square. They build monuments to their psychopathic generals who successfully feed the highest number of poor kids into the meat grinder. A thing is not necessarily true because a man dies for it. Oscar Wilde. By Dr. Benjamin Sprock. Humans can be the most affectionate and altruistic of creatures, yet they're potentially more vicious than any other species. Humans are the only ones who can be persuaded to hate millions of their own kind whom they have never seen and to kill as many as they can lay their hands on in the name of their tribe or their nation. Unknown author. Only the dead have seen the end of war. George Santayana. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Sun Tzu. When the rich wage war, it is the poor who die. Jean-Paul Sartre. War is young men dying and old men talking. Ancient Troy. War is when the young and stupid are tricked by the old and bitter into killing each other. Anonymous. Mankind must put an end to war, or war will put an end to mankind. John F. Kennedy. An eye for an eye will leave the whole world blind. Often attributed to Gandhi. What difference does it make to the dead, the orphans, and the homeless, whether the mad destruction is wrought under the name of totalitarianism or the holy name of liberty and democracy. Mahatma Gandhi. History is written by the victors. Winston Churchill. War is the continuation of politics by other means. Karl von Clausewitz. War is a defeat for humanity. Pope John Paul II. If we don't end war, war will end us. H.G. Wells. You can no more win a war than you can win an earthquake. Jeanette Rankin. That's my favorite. In peace, some sons bury their fathers. In war, fathers bury their sons. Herodotus. The military doesn't start wars. Politicians start wars. General William Westmoreland. Politics is war without bloodshed, while war is politics with bloodshed. Mao Zedong. War is not fought for nations. It is fought so a few men can turn blood into profit. General Smedley Butler. Those quotes are collectively the first of my three thoughts. We must pay attention to them to guide us, to inspire us to resist war. The autocrats will do war profiteering and spend recklessly. The second of my three thoughts on war are passages from a book by Dalton Trumbo titled Johnny Got His Gun. You remember that one? It was written after World War I. It speaks for itself. I first read it during the Vietnam War. I find it very powerful. Did anybody ever come back from the dead, any single one of the millions who got killed? Did any one of them ever come back and say, by God, I'm glad I'm dead, because death is always better than dishonor? Did they say, I'm glad I died to make the world safe for democracy? Did they say, I like death better than losing liberty? Did any of them ever say, it's good to think I got my guts blown out for the honor of my country? Did any of them ever say, look at me, I'm dead, but I died for decency, and that's better than being alive? Of course, a lot of guys were ashamed. Somebody said, let's go out and fight for liberty, and so they went out and got killed without ever once thinking of liberty. And what kind of liberty were they fighting for anyway? How much liberty? And whose kind of liberty? No, sir, anybody who went out and got in the front line trenches to fight for liberty was a goddamn fool. And the man who got him there was a liar. So what's noble about being dead? Then there was the freedom the little guys were always getting killed for. Was it freedom from another country? Freedom from work or disease or death? Freedom from your mother-in-law? Please, mister, give us a bill of sale on this freedom before we go out and get killed. So did all those kids die thinking of democracy and freedom and liberty and honor and the safety of the home and the stars and stripes forever? Goddamn right they didn't. They died crying in their minds like little babies. They fought the thing they were fighting for. The thing they were dying for. They forgot it. They thought about things a man can understand. They died yearning for the face of a friend. They died whimpering for the voice of a mother, a father, a wife, a child. They died with their hearts sick for one more look at the place where they were born. Please, God, just one more look. They died moaning and sighing for life. They knew what was important. They knew that life was everything, and they died with screams and sobs. They died with only one thought in their minds, and that was, I want to live, I want to live, I want to live. Remember this well, you people who plan for war. Remember this, you patriots, you fierce ones, you spawners of hate, you inventors of slogans. Remember this, as you have never remembered anything in your lives. You who urge us on to battle, you who incite us against ourselves, you who would have one human being who wants only to live to kill another human being who wants only to live. You are talking like fools. Here's my third thought about war. What if you were drafted to serve the madness, like in the Korean War or Vietnam or the present Iran War? What if? Then you would truly be cannon fodder. I'm very old. My country has fought 9 wars in a bit more than a century. The Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, Iraq War I, Iraq II, Afghanistan, and now Iran. That's about 1 every 12 years on average. And when you throw in the years preparing for each war, it's war all the time. There have been so many wars in my lifetime, and yet what have they solved really? It seems to me that war never actually resolves anything at all. Yesterday's allies are tomorrow's enemy, and yesterday's enemy is today's allies. Russia and China, formerly our allies, now enemies. Japan and Germany, former enemies, and now allies. That, in my view, is crazy. War causes bitterness and hatred between people, and these feelings can fester for many generations. It's epigenetics. As far as I can see, war creates many more problems than it solves, because war is an abomination. Yes, there may be times when we have to be resolute and tough, but fighting wars should be avoided whenever and wherever possible, and it should always be possible. If I have learned one thing, it is this: if politicians had to go out to combat in war and do the fighting and take their own sons and daughters with them into combat, there would be no wars. War is a human tragedy, a waste of irreplaceable resources, a waste of lives. Globally, World War II cost $4 trillion. It also cost an estimated 70 to 85 million deaths, of which about 50 million were civilians. Our American view of all of this is totally skewed because we have not been bombed, having been protected by 2 oceans. This has been our savior. It won't happen here has been and still is the slogan, consciously or unconsciously. Even our own Civil War was on a scale that makes modern wars seem like a picnic. Modern aircraft, missiles, and drones make war a violent ego trip. World War I, Western civilization's war, was, I believe, a psychotic break in the entire Western civilization. We all know that an individual can have a psychotic break, meaning out of touch with reality. So can a cult. or a nation. But an entire civilization to have one, it's rare, if ever before. We live in a schizophrenic civilization, Christian civilization, in which the religion teaches one thing and does the opposite. It's not just gross hypocrisy. They worship the Prince of Peace, Jesus, and prepare for and fight wars in his name. If that isn't mass mental illness, what is? Trump is the example of all three psychotic breaks: individual, cult, and nation. Let us not forget that Trump speaks for all of us. He is the president of all of us. We the people. We the people. We elected him twice. The difference between humans and animals is that animals would never allow the dumbest of the herd to lead them. As is usually the case, if not always, the entity with the psychotic break, big or small, does not know it is having a psychotic break. Trump starts a war that has no basis in reality. Why? Because he lives in a bubble reality, not the reality we live in. Reality is unwelcome in the world of make-believe. Reality is unwelcome in the world of make-believe. Quote, "Sometimes wars are good. We can fight wars forever," said Trump. "We will be at war indefinitely," said his top advisor, Stephen Miller. He is lying about their consequences and then following the lies by saying he doesn't care what they may mean for the lives of average Americans. We live in an age of cruelty. When we go to war, dehumanize, maim, torture, bomb, and kill our fellow humans, soldiers and civilians and children alike. It is, in my opinion, psychotic to do that. It's out of touch with the reality of what is being done. War takes valuable resources and blows them up, wastes them, even when those very resources are in short supply. That is not sanity. It is psychosis wrapped around flag-waving propaganda. Imagine that aliens from another peaceful galaxy were shown a video of human behavior called war. Could they possibly decide that we Earth humans are sane? There are many men and women who are war heroes, who showed great courage in combat. Those who do not go to war, not from cowardice, but from principle, are also heroes in a nation of warriors. So why do so many by the millions sign up to be warriors and agree to die? There are many reasons. Here they are, in no particular order. You can get medals. You can be called a hero. You can travel out of the state where you were born. You can have job security. You get to kill people, and it's legal. You get to serve the propaganda machine. You can be thanked for your service. You get training in many ways to kill in case you get along in a uniform manner. You serve your country. You may get to travel the world. You may learn a trade. You think you get to prove your manhood. You are praised for willingness to risk or give up your life for the cause, whatever the cause, which is exhilarating. You get to be regimented and ordered around 24/7, which is attractive to many people. You get to do God's work. Not everyone has all of those motivations to go to war, but most people who go to war have at least a few of them. Central to all of them is for God and country. For God and country. Their church has an American flag flying right outside of it. Each side in the war says that they are doing God's work. Yet both warring sides often have the same God. Even a 9-year-old sees that as irrational, impossible, and stupid. We call our national flag, the symbol of our nation, Old Glory. That is, in my opinion, a propagandistic expression derived from war. As Ernest Hemingway put it, the glory of war is a lie sold by cowards in suits. It has been said that the first casualty of war is truth. The government cranks up the propaganda machine and the populace laps it up. It doesn't even matter how ludicrous, how short-sighted, how internally contradictory, how absent of critical thinking the warmongering is. It grabs people emotionally and prevents critical thinking. All 4 of the astronauts that just returned from the moon all said that when they viewed Earth from out there in space, they saw no boundaries, no us and them. The boundaries, called nations, are all in our heads. So, peace be with you. Make love, not war. Those are my thoughts about it. I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Well, thank you. It's not a happy talk, I know, but sometimes it's necessary, to be reminded to enforce and reinforce our commitment. What? Well, yeah, my wife is telling me to remember our foster son, Vital. He was a French citizen, came here with his mother, and came to me one day after high school and said, "Lee, I'm going to join the Army." And I said, "Don't do it." He said, "Well, they're promising me that I can fast track to become an American citizen." And I thought, well, that's a substantive reason. Don't do it. Don't go. He went, and he got blown up in Afghanistan. He got severely injured physically, and emotionally, he got traumatized beyond belief with post-traumatic stress disorder, and he has been suffering from it ever since. It has cost him his wife and his home and his business and sometimes a little bit of his sanity and our relationship with him. And so this talk came from my heart. That's it.